please hit that subscribe button. Hey everybody, better suited to win the Stanley Cup this season. If you are new to the channel, Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins.
Locked on and he scored! And we're live.
Hey everybody, so it's time for another lineup projection, and obviously the last one I did was the Calgary Flames, so sticking within the same series today, we're going to be talking about the Winnipeg Jets. So I'm just going to go through Winnipeg's lineup and just kind of move some guys around, put guys where I think that they'll be come the start of the play-in series, and just look at their lineup and see, what it could look like, what it will probably look like, what I would do, just talk about some different things and move guys around to some different spots. These are really fun to go through, and as always, your ideas or your thoughts are more than welcome in the comments as well. This is just me playing around with Winnipeg's lineup and seeing what it could possibly look like come when hockey returns. So before I begin, I just ask that you please hit that subscribe button if you're new, and give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already, because those likes really help out a lot and are very, very much appreciated. But we're going to move on over to the cap-friendly screen here, and we are going to take a look at the Winnipeg Jets lineup. So here's Winnipeg and what I think they will most likely look like come the start of the play-in series. A very, very fun, interesting, awesome matchup against the Calgary Flames, which I think it's going to be one of the best series of this play-in round. But obviously, your top six with Winnipeg, well, no, I shouldn't say your top six. Your top line with Winnipeg is very well set. Similar to Calgary, they've got pretty much a set top line with Kyle Connor on the left side, Mark Scheifele in the middle, and Blake Wheeler on the right side. And then you know that Nikolai Ehlers and Patrick Laine are your wings on the second line. The question now is who centers the second line? Because this guy right here, Brian Little, is a very, very big question mark. Because Brian Little normally is your second line center, but he was injured this season with a perforated eardrum and a head injury, and he was declared done for the season. So that would pull Brian Little out of this lineup, which would move Cody Eakin up from your third-line center to your second-line center. Now, the thing about Brian Little is he was declared done for the season when it was still a normal season, which means that the year would be over by now. It's the middle of June. The year would be over. I don't know, with this gap in time, with all this time that's gone by, and them playing in August now instead of playing the playoffs in April, May, and into June, it's now going to be August, September, maybe even into October. So with that shift in time, is there a chance Brian Little comes back? I haven't really heard anything about where he's at in his recovery, where he's at health-wise, so I don't know. So for the sake of this, I'm going to say Brian Little is out. Let's assume Brian Little's out. I will say this, though. If Brian Little can play and is healthy, because it's been 4 months since anyone's played a game, Brian Little would slot in as the second-line center. But I'm going to say that he's out. And if he is out, that's going to put Cody Eakin as your second-line center. Is Cody Eakin really a second-line? Is he a top-six guy? I think of him more as a third-liner. But, second-line center has been a problem spot for the Winnipeg Jets for a little while now. They've tried to fill that in with some rentals from time to time, Kevin Hayes, Paul Stastny. But, they haven't had a long-term solution at second-line center, and they still really don't seem to have that. So that's an interesting one there. That would make your third line Adam Lowry, Jack Roslovic, and Matthew Perreault. That is actually a third line that I really like. I love Adam Lowry, big, physical, power forward who can chip in offensively. My kind of player, 100%. Perreault is a decent scorer. And then Roslovic, the young player who's really coming into his own, still on the upswing of his NHL career. I really like that third line a lot. I think that could be a very good third line that can chip in offensively, play well in all three zones, and really be an asset to the team. And that would make your fourth line Andrew Kopp in the middle, Gabriel Bourque. Well, there's some options here. Mason Appleton. That's who I think they would at least start with as their fourth line, but they have options. If you want to put a younger player in, then Christian Vesalainen is definitely a possibility on that left side. Logan Shaw, you could throw in on the right side instead of Appleton. Jansen Harkins is a guy who played this season. You could put him. He is a center, but obviously, he can play wing if you need him to. You could throw him into the lineup. Nick Shore is somebody with a little bit of NHL experience. Letestu, I'm pretty sure, is done. I don't even know why he's up here. I'm pretty sure he's out. He's done. And then again, Little, for the sake of this, I'm saying Little's still out. Again, he would be the second line center if he was healthy. But throw those two out. But Shore is another guy. So, they do have some depth pieces that they could possibly throw in here. And then with an expanded roster, they could even get some more guys up here down from the minors that I didn't even throw up yet. But at least for as far as the start, with a healthy or relatively healthy, at least as healthy as it's going to be, Winnipeg Jets lineup, I think this is probably what your forward group looks like. There's a couple pieces that could switch, particularly the fourth line wings. You don't know for sure, but I would think that they'd start with Bourque and Appleton and Kopp in the middle. Moving on to defense here and goaltending. Obviously, we'll get goaltending out of the way. This is easy. Connor Hellebuck is your starter. He has to play lights out if Winnipeg is going to go anywhere in these playoffs. Hellebuck has to be leading the way. Laurent Brossoit has been his backup all season long, will be the backup. And then if, there's probably going to be able to call up a third goalie, that would most likely be Eric Comrie. He'd be your number 3 goalie. On defense, you have Neil Pionk, who had a great season this year, paired with Josh Morrissey. Now, Morrissey, I think, is your number 1 defenseman. Pionk's your number 2. That's a very good top pair there. That's a good top pair. That's not, I don't want to go comparing them to, teams like Tampa Bay, their defense. But, Morrissey and Pionk, with the way that they've played this season, I think are a solid top pair. Now, beyond that, you've got Kulikov still there. Dmitry Kulikov's been on the Jets for a while now, since coming over from the Panthers. He's definitely, I think, a middle pair guy on this team. Dylan DeMello, who they traded for from Ottawa. Nice addition to the team. He had a really, really good season this year. Hopefully, for Winnipeg's sake, that continues after this break. And then that leaves Nathan Beaulieu, Sammy Niku, Tucker Poolman, Lucas Spiza, Anthony Boteto, Carl Dahlstrom, Ville Heinola, if you want to go with a younger guy. As far as depth goes, they've got a lot of options here. Now, I think Beaulieu, with pretty much a staple on that bottom pair, I think he's going to be in the lineup. Niku, if he's healthy, another guy that had, there's some injury question. But again, after all this time, I think Niku's probably good to go. Niku is likely to be that number 6 guy, but then you've got Spiza, you've got Boteto, you've got Poolman, you've got a very young player in Ville Heinola if you want to go in that direction, whereas Boteto and Spiza have been around a while, and then you've got Dahlstrom as well, who I don't think Dahlstrom's going to see the ice unless you really get into injury problems on that back end, but we'll have to wait and see. They have options as far as the depth goes. But I think that to start, it would probably be Beaulieu and Niku on the back end. But then, you could always throw Spiza or Boteto or Poolman in there, and it really wouldn't make that much of a difference. But, Winnipeg, I think, Winnipeg for the most part has a pretty set lineup, especially compared to some other teams that we've looked at where there's more moving pieces. And certainly teams that we look at in the future, we're going to see some more moving pieces, whereas Winnipeg, I think it's pretty well set. Again, the big question mark is second-line center. What's going to happen there? Is Little still injured? If he is, then I guess it's Eakin. If Little's able to play, then obviously he would be in that spot. And then the depth defense. And I think a lot of teams, and we're seeing this a lot, is that a lot of teams have options as far as their depth defense goes. Most teams have a pretty well set top 4, but then beyond that, they've got another 3, 4, even 5 defensemen who could possibly play on that bottom pair. So they've got decisions to make. And like, I've talked about in other videos, you can switch those guys in and out game to game, where if one of them doesn't play well, you've got, 2 more guys that can go right in to a spot that want that opportunity. So for the most part, I think Winnipeg, this is pretty much what it will look like. But again, they do have options in a couple of areas. But it's going to be one hell of a series with the Calgary Flames, that's for sure. I mean, I do have questions about this defense core. I think that's been probably the big question mark of Winnipeg all season is this D-core. I do not have questions about Connor Hellebuck. He was outstanding this season. This top six, minus the center spot on the second line, is absolutely outstanding. I mean, you've got some serious goal-scoring power here on your wings with Connor, Laine, Wheeler, and Ehlers. That is a sick top six as far as the wingers go. Third line, I really like this third line. I think that's a good line. And then you've got, your depth guys who, again, you could swap in and out whoever, was playing best or look, that you want to give a chance to. So overall, pretty good lineup here for Winnipeg, and it's going to be interesting to see. So we'll switch back over here. And I think it's going to be a very close series, a very tight series, a lot of fun to watch. I can't wait to see them in Calgary go at it. And there's a lot of star power in that series, and then a lot of questions in that series as far as, does Calgary have the depth? Does Winnipeg have the defense? Who's going to play? Does Winnipeg have a good enough second line center? Can Calgary get enough secondary scoring outside of that top line? There's a lot of questions headed into this series, and I think it's going to be really, really fun to watch and see which team's able to come out on top. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.